Hello and welcome to the Asia Lifestyle Magazine Podcast. Today we are joined by Gavin Crombie and Frank Meyer, two amazing people that are making complete moves inside the wellness sphere, but you've come together to make an amazing movie, and we're going to touch on personal experiences, we're going to touch on wellness journey, but also we're going to touch on a few things that I think it's just cool to know. Like, these are the types of people that you're going to meet in Asia, and there's some really interesting people. So yeah, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, Asa. It's wonderful to be here.
So let's talk about your personal journey, Gavin, because you've been in China for 30 plus years in the digital creation media business.
Yes, I have 32 years. Off that, about 30 years in the creative digital media space. I also spent a few years as a business consultant way back in the 90s when China was a completely different animal then.
What are the major changes that you've noticed? Because 30 odd years ago is a big difference.
How can you answer that question in one sentence? Like, when I went to Chengdu, that's the city I went to, home of the pandas. In fact, a lot of people say I look a bit like a panda. Here was a city which at the time in the municipal area had about 3 million people with a total population of about 9 and only one building over 7 stories.
Wow.
And all of the other buildings is what I would call neo-Stalinist grey 7-story walk-up. And they were walk-up because there was a law in China that said if you're any more than 7 stories, you had to put in a lift. So every building only had 7 stories and only one building in the entire city over 7.
One thing that every time that I've gone to China, let's say Beijing specifically, I feel that the architecture is very powerful architecture, like very you can tell it's a communist country. Is that the same powerful architecture in Chengdu?
Yes and no. So the yes part of it is that it was when I went there, and the no part of it is that now it has changed so unbelievably massively in every single way, shape and form that now the architecture is super modern.
Wow.
There are still some of those old examples of that kind of communist architecture, but even those have been tarted up and they kind of look a lot nicer than they used to.
What are the major changes that you noticed, like, let's say, for example, over the last 10 years or 15 years? When did you start to see the real changes happen?
So change really started around about 2000, and it kind of came in phases, but it's been accelerating phases. So we had in our city, we had our first subway line open in 2010, and we've now got 35 lines.
Wow.
We have the longest subway line in the world, and we have the fastest subway line in the world, and we've got the third longest total length of subway. So if you imagine from 2010 to now, 35 subway lines, how can you explain that?
I mean, if you were going to look at the West comparing to the amount of progression that they can actually handle infrastructure-wise, they can't go that quickly. That's where China, for me, I just look at them and go, wow, that's real progress.
Yeah, China's got there's no real big secret to this, right? China's got a way of doing things, which is kind of eating the elephant, and how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So outside our place, like where we lived, we had, first of all, we had no subway stations. We've now got 2 stations right outside our place. But there was a road that used to always get clogged up, and they decided that they would build a kind of a flyover. So the total length of this flyover, which I've worked out, is about 19 kilometres. So it doesn't just go over, it goes kind of round, there's a bus track, etc., etc. So they started that on the 1st of August in, 2013, and they opened it on the 1st of May 2014. And what they did was they just divided it up into little sections. And so a team would work on, maybe 20 metres.
Wow.
And so 9 months it was built. And so that's kind of the China model, right? That if you're going to have great progress, you just divide it up into little bits.
So you were integral in some New Zealand negotiations, bringing trade and between China and New Zealand, or what was the backstory of that?
So, first of all, being a Kiwi, and I was kind of only like one of a handful of Kiwis living in our city, but I was able to assess that Chengdu, the city itself, and the province, Sichuan, kind of had a great synergy with New Zealand, because New Zealand is an agricultural place, Sichuan is an agricultural place, so there was, and it was also a more manageable city for a country the size of New Zealand. So I just bothered the hell out of the embassy and the consulate people that I knew and the trade department that I knew, and finally we got a consulate opened in Chengdu. But I had been appointed as an advisor to the New Zealand Trade Department, and so I was kind of advising New Zealand companies and helping them develop their China entry strategy.
That's such an amazing service to provide your country, realistically, like even if it's just helping, you know.
It was kind of helped by the fact I wrote a book back in 2005, The Way of the Dragon, which is about doing business in China, and it got picked up by a whole pile of MBA courses around the world, and so I ended up kind of giving a lot of lectures to MBA courses about it, and the New Zealand government kind of thought that was, you know, quite helpful to them, and so it developed from there.
That's not your only book though, you're a real published author, aren't you?
Yeah, I got 4 books. Latest 2 is in the health and wellness sector. One is far infrared heat therapy, about the benefits of that, which is truly amazing, and the other one is on gut bacteria. Wow. And the effect on, mainly on kind of mental health, or gut bacteria and the effect on mental health.
That's such a trending subject right now. I mean, you can go down the whole algorithm if you keep scrolling about gut bacteria and microbiome, like that's serious stuff.
Yeah.
And how did you start researching the gut bacteria?
Lifetime journey. First of all, I'm a failed medical student, so I originally wanted to be a doctor, and I found out that I passed all my subjects with A+, but apparently wine, woman and song aren't very helpful with a medical degree, so that was it. And so lifelong I've had this passion, but about right before the start of COVID, we set up a very small health and wellbeing centre in Chengdu, but in fact, COVID hit China and we had to close it down almost immediately. We just caught the wrong end of that wave, so we had to kind of wait until it was over. And so, because it's been a long-term passion of mine, and once I kind of get into a subject, I like to research it.
Let's talk about the last 5 to 6 years. So after that, I mean, you've been working in the digital media creation space for so long.
Yeah.
Give me the 411 on your business.
Well, things have really changed. Things have changed enormously, and they've changed basically because of AI. So, in the past in my marketing department, I had about 17 people, and, you can almost replace those 17 people with one person now. There's so much that you can do with AI that that you couldn't do in the past. Obviously, you didn't have those tools. And so we're kind of morphing at the moment more into the kind of film and TV area. Unfortunately for us, one of the areas we worked in prior was the tourism industry. And when nobody's flying anywhere, that was really difficult to build tourism experiences, So
doing business in China, it's like from the outside in, a lot of people, they get the Western media version of China. You're, boots on the ground for 32 years. What's the economy and the everyday life like for someone as an expat living in China?
So, Asa, that's a really good question. And I almost hesitate to answer this because people probably won't believe me, right? But it's a society that you live in, and that, first of all, you feel completely, utterly safe. And it is devoid of a lot of the noise and the problems that I'm observing happening in kind of the Western liberal democracies, which are becoming polarized and divisive, and everyone's arguing, and, stuff on social media is aggressive and confrontational. And China literally doesn't have that. And, a lot of people are under the misapprehension that there's this heavy control within the Chinese society, and there's not. But there is a degree of responsibility. So, for example, to sign up for a WeChat, which is the dominant social media platform there, you have to identify yourself. So you then become responsible for what you say. So I kind of compare that to Elon Musk's concept of Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, of being the village square, which is fine, except in the village square, everybody knows who you are. And so you have to be responsible for what you say. And because within the Chinese society, harmony is more important, that if you are acting in a divisive way, you will get some sanction. And that sanction might be, your WeChat account is cut off. Sorry, you've contravened the rules, so you can no longer use that account. So on a day-to-day basis, it's the most amazing place to live. And with the way technology has developed in China now, it is truly unbelievable. The fast train network, we can jump on the train in Chengdu at 10:30 in the morning, be right in the middle of Hong Kong by 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 2,000 kilometers.
Wow. Wow.
So
that's fast.
On some of our street corners now, we have humanoid robots directing the traffic.
I noticed when I was in China, and I used to go to China quite a lot for real estate. So I used to go to all the seminars. I used to go and meet clients there and bring them to Phuket eventually to buy properties or whatever. And I went to China a lot, man. But one thing that I did notice was that, the safety aspect is there. There were a lot of people just on the street. I wouldn't call them policemen, but uniformed people on every single street corner, just directing questions or just monitoring. And I suppose that's getting changed now with more robots, you're saying,
My impression is I don't see so many people with uniforms, although what I will say is there's kind of three levels. Right, first of all, you've got what they call the security guard level, and those are the guys that kind of stand at the door of malls or stand at the door of apartment complexes, and they've got no official standing whatsoever. They're commercially employed. Then you have a level of police which is called the city management police, and they're the local government, and they're not really police. They're there to kind of administer the city bylaws. So if you go out and start cooking barbecue on the side of the road and you don't have a license, well, they're going to move you on, right? But they're not going to come and give you a parking ticket or say that you've done something. And then you've kind of got the actual police, and they kind of tour around a little bit, but they've got and this will surprise people, they've got a very, very gentle hand, right? They're not confrontational. They don't abuse you. They don't throw handcuffs on you, because you've done something wrong. They'll come up and, if you have done something wrong, and they'll just speak very quietly, maybe you shouldn't do that, thanks very much.
As an expat for so long, do you just live your daily life, or do you like have a wake-up call every now and again going, oh, I'm in China, not in New Zealand?
For me now, it's my home. So I live my daily life as if, that's where I am, that's where I want to be, and that's where I'll stay.
That's how I feel about Thailand.
Yeah, exactly the same, Asa. That's my home. I've got no desire to go back to New Zealand. In fact, I think that I've changed so much based on the kind of completely different cultural attributes of the society in Asia. Thailand is the same, China is the same. There is a different cultural feeling amongst people than what I would kind of experience back in New Zealand. And particularly, and this is not a criticism of New Zealand, but it's far away, kind of isolated, and so maybe not as exposed to different cultural ways of thinking.
As a brand new expat coming into the market, into China, what are the key things that you would tell people you need to be on point with?
You mentioned it right in your first sentence, boots on the ground, right? If you want to do anything at all in China, go and put yourself on the ground, go and learn, go and observe, go and, before you go and try and do any business, immerse yourself in the culture and figure out who's who in the zoo before you go and, start to think that you understand it.
Yeah. So let's talk with Frank, because you've got a different Asian journey. Your wife is Chinese, but you live in Los Angeles. Your background is in film and music. You've produced some really cool, I'm not being funny, Guns N' Roses, man. Come on, that's pretty cool. You were one of the first producers for them?
Yeah, well, I knew them very early on. They had just been signed to Geffen Records, and they recorded their album in my studio that I had just opened. So it was actually the first act that I recorded. So.
Wow, man. So let's talk about your career. What are the key points that you've been doing in music and then you moved into movies?
Well, I kind of started as a lawyer. I went to law school and opened up a practice and, decided I didn't really like being a lawyer that much. So kind of gravitated towards business and, I'm a musician myself. So I kind of gravitated to music as a business. I had a partner who was a recording engineer. So we opened up a one studio initially and then about 5. And got into management, got into, working with record companies. And I've always used my legal background, but, I pretty much made the transition to business.
Give me a list of bands or musicians that we would know that you've produced.
Oh, there's many, many. I mean, obviously, once Guns N' Roses became a huge success, I had, a whole line of hard rock bands, Cheap Trick, I mean, any number of people. I also did Kenny G's first album. I did Vanessa Williams' first album. But we really did, we had all kinds of music people come in, Prince, I mean, you name it. They probably did some recording at one of our studios.
You moved into movie because you saw an opening, or was it just a natural progression?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, for one thing, the music business was undergoing some stress with the advent of Napster and the downloading of music for free. It suddenly became a less attractive business, and record companies kind of went through some hard times. And at the same time, I was involved with soundtracks and actually doing legal representation on a number of films. So, it was kind of a natural progression, and I kind of gradually shifted into the film business as the music business started to tail off. So it was good timing.
Let's talk about your movie business as a whole, because what are you producing movies for traditionally?
Well, I do a number of different things. I mean, for one thing, I acquired a film library, so I'm, heavily in the distribution business. But I also produce new feature films. So, I'm typically an executive producer, which means I kind of tell everybody what to do and try not to do too much work myself. But it's been lucrative. I mean, I mainly work as an independent filmmaker, so I'm not really involved in the studio system. And it gives me a lot of freedom to kind of pick and choose what I want to do.
Don't you own your own ranch where you can do some movies as well?
Yeah, I do own a ranch in New Mexico. So I'm based in Los Angeles, but New Mexico has tax incentives, which, like it or not, is a big part of the business. So, we do shoot a lot of stuff in New Mexico and also all over the world. I shot a movie in Ukraine before it got invaded. Was going to do a second one, but unfortunately that didn't come to pass.
Wow.
But, I've shot movies in Asia and, I've always tried to do one in China, although that hasn't happened yet.
So you guys have come together for something quite spectacular, and this is the reason why I've invited you here today, really. Your crew that you've put together for this project is really, really incredible. Like, it's not just you guys, you've got like a team of people, and tell the world what you're working on at the moment.
Well, I'll let Gavin handle that.
So, Asa, it kind of goes back to the journey of us opening this health and wellness center in China, and a lot of the research that we did there and the books that I had been involved in. And, Frank one day said to me, he said, you know what, this whole subject of longevity, health span improvement, health span enhancement is just such a mess. Right? There is so many voices, there's so many people telling you things, go into YouTube, there's 5,000 people will tell you, a different story. And he said there's just such an opportunity in the marketplace for somebody who's kind of giving, have got a level of editorial integrity, kind of the Bloomberg or the Economist of this whole area. And it's a booming area. It is very well and truly within the global zeitgeist at the moment, as well and truly in the kind of mindset of people with the development of health and wellness in other areas. So we said, okay, what can we do? What can we bring? What kind of discipline can we bring to the world in terms of this information? And so we developed a project which is called Longevity Frontiers, which has kind of got several different layers, but the initial layer is a couple of 1-hour TV specials, and it'll roll on to a 26 episode TV show where we explore the subject. So, if we went to tomorrow, for example, and we took the top 20 people in this field and said, what is the one thing you would do to increase your lifespan? We get 20 different answers.
Yes.
So we want to go and interrogate that,
I think, longevity, let's face it, there's very few people who don't want to live longer. So it's an amazing topic. And, it's also timing. There's a lot of cutting edge technology and research that's being done that conceivably will change how long people can live. And it's not just living long, it's living well.
I mean, your target for this production that you're making is Netflix, National Geographic. Like you're making a documentary styled TV show, from my understanding, that is going to give the real answers. And I love the fact that in a world where anybody can pick up a camera, create a YouTube video and talk, you guys are going using your movie experience, your producing experience, your digital creative media experience, and you're moving into, okay, let's do this professionally, let's get the right information. And you've got like a list of published authors and movie guys, and your list is pretty darn good.
We've got on board is the former CEO of the world's largest documentary maker. He used to make 150 documentaries a year. We're kind of got production people on that have been head of Sony Asia, and we've got people that have come out of the Fox network. They're very, very senior people, and so kind of in the background we've got a list of people who will be supporting the project in one way or another. And it's important to us that we create this in a way that it becomes the reference point, somewhere that people can go and get real information.
I think there's never really been a great TV series that's explored the subject. I mean, there's been a few specials here and there, but it's something that's really timely. And, our approach is we're going to do traditional broadcasts, but also we plan to do a lot of digital things on YouTube and like little snippets that basically help educate people about what's out there and what's coming. And, that's kind of our goal.
Let's jump into the actual space that you're exploring, because longevity is important to everybody. And you're right in saying there are lots of videos, but there's no one coherent voice. And the fact of the matter is you're doing digital creative media with movie production quality, you're putting it together, you're making this experience for people to get the right information. And in a world full of information, I love the fact that you guys are going the old school and the new school all together as well, with some really cool experts involved as well.
And there is a danger in this area if you're listening to people that don't have the right qualifications and are promoting things that can be harmful. And we can see hundreds of examples of that. So somebody gets up in front of YouTube and they say, take this, this, and this is going to do it, but that might be harmful. So we need to interrogate the various things and bring the right experts and study the right scientific literature so that at the end of it, we're able to say, this is really good, this is no effect at all, or do this and your hair's going to turn green.
So you're exploring machines, you're exploring supplements, combinations, because one supplement can do this and another supplement can do that. You're exploring what happens when they're put together.
And the medical research is amazing. I mean, there's just so many new things happening, and actually AI is a big part of that, because the research capabilities with using AI have really expanded the whole frontier. So it is really a frontier. And I think, like any frontier, there's a lot to be explored.
Let's dive into the longevity and the most important things that you'll be exploring on this documentary. Have you got a list of things that you're really going for?
Wow, that's a really good question.
It's very confidential. Yeah, there's an amazing, I think I'll let you speak to that more than.
Well, I just go back to the question that we're kind of dealing with. If you go to these longevity experts, and I'm talking about the real ones, not the fake ones, and you ask them what is the one thing that they would do, you'll get different answers, right? Does that mean that everybody's wrong and only one person's right? Or does that mean everybody's right and nobody's wrong? And that's actually the answer. Ultimately, the overall thing comes down to three different things, right? So you've got your scientific and medical thing. So right at the moment, a very promising thing is Yamanaka transcription factors, right? And so that's looking in 10 years' time, there may be some things that come from that are going to be seriously helpful in extending lifespan and health span, right? So that's point one. Second one is lifestyle. What are you eating? What's your exercise protocol? And again, just to give you an example, the rule of thumb says you must do 10,000 steps a day, right? But the actual figure, when you interrogate the science, is 7,500. So after 7,500, the effect starts to get lessened, right? So we interrogate these things. So lifestyle factors is point two. Then you've got your third area, which is your social and community factors. So when look at every single one of the blue zones, one of the major factors is that they all live in a very tight-knit social community structure with lots of interaction with people. And that kind of adds 4 or 5 years to people's life, just that factor alone. So going back to your question, Asa, it's impossible to give you one answer because there's many answers.
And I think it's kind of like a toolbox, you want to live long and live well. Well, there's a lot of different tools. And coming from my perspective, I'm someone who, in terms of construction, I'm no good with tools. If it doesn't involve a hammer, I can't do it. So, but in real life, you need a hammer to do some things, you need a wrench to do something, you need a screwdriver. Well, it's the same with longevity. You need different tools, and people are different. Not everything works the same for everybody. So you have to kind of know the science, and maybe this person, this will work, this person, something else works.
It's not about being six-pack fit. It's about literally being able to live a nice long life the way that you want to live, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You're 69,
yeah,
and you're looking good.
Don't tell anybody that. Well, it does take some effort, but if you have the right tools, you can live healthy and you can live a long life. But you're right. The important thing is to not just live long, but to live well.
Longevity is popular everywhere. Everybody wants to live longer. But you're actually going to film this documentary and all these episodes mostly in Asia, correct?
We'll be all over the world. We think we're going to start in Thailand because Thailand is well known as a destination for health and wellness. There's a lot of hospitals, a lot of centers. But we will be going all over the world because there's actually knowledge from very primitive societies that people don't even know about that may have a big impact on living well. So we plan to go pretty much all over the place.
Awesome. Like when I look at people putting together a documentary or a series or a movie together, and I love speaking to producers because their vision and clarity is just there. They've got most of the answers, but I'm ready to follow your journey of discovery as well.
Fantastic.
There's an investment element to what you're doing as well, because everything that you're exploring, and I have to, because I'm a salesperson, I have to look at, what you're producing is going to be highlighting a lot of, certain destinations, certain machines. Can you explain about the money aspect of this a little bit, or is that really confidential?
Yeah, no, basically, there's a lot out there. Some of it is very low cost, some of it is just common sense. And there's technology that's very expensive and maybe not everybody can afford it. But our goal is to just shed some light on what's out there and, make it as available as possible. So that's part of what we do.
And we do, in addition to that, we do have a kind of downstream monetization model that's based on that, but it's got to be based on the fact that it follows the editorial integrity, right? So there's no snake oil or selling things, but we do have a downstream monetization plan, and we've kind of worked out what is going to be a really powerful delivery platform that kind of lies at the back of it, because it's one thing for somebody to see something on the TV, but like, where do they get it? You know, where can they access that? And
Exactly.
it's not like, I'm going to buy a bottle of supplements. You know, where can I get far infrared heat therapy, for example? You know, how can I actually personally benefit from this stuff that I'm learning about, or hydrogen inhalation therapy, which has got amazing, scientific benefit. So there is a downstream monetization model and delivery platform that we've kind of built into the back room of this, so it doesn't just stop at the broadcast media.
If you're doing the research and you're finding the solutions that are newsworthy, if you're finding products that are something that people need, then I think educating people and having it available, I think that's a great way to move forward.
And there's some kind of interesting stuff in the whole space. I mean, this obviously I'm passionate about it, but like, for example, just to use a product that everybody knows about, fish oil. People say you should take fish oil. But there's a highly regarded Oxford University scientist who has pinpointed that fish oil is not effective unless it's taken in combination with certain polyphenols, which are plant-based chemicals. So you can be drinking a bucket of fish oil every day, but if you don't have this additional thing, the fish oil becomes ineffective, right? And that's the type of thing that we want to explore. So it may be that a downstream product that comes in is a fish oil that's got the additional things that makes it effective, and we're able to explain why it's effective, and that might be a range of things that come from there. The key for us is to bring information that's highly valuable to people, and so that people can actually make a signal difference in their health span or lifespan.
I love the fact that you're giving everybody the full researched information. You're showing people all the aspects of longevity, and it really is the frontier, because there's so much technology and so much combinations that can be explored now with research, with AI, and with let's call it what it is, real boots on the ground experience for many years.
So we're coming back to boots on the ground. So, your boots are on the ground in China, and now they're on the ground here.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Asia, you've got so many places that are focused on wellness and longevity in Thailand. And I think it's a great place to start filming, realistically. You've got the Thai government even investing in the wellness industry as well, and I think Thailand, and I suppose we can add Bali in there as well. Great place of region to discover yourself and not just yourself, but also rejuvenate yourself.
Well, it's really a journey. I think it's and in a way, it's kind of like Buddhism. We're not going to say we have all the answers. We're searching for the answers, and we want to help people find the answers. And I think that's important. I mean, that takes research, and that takes examination, but it's a journey for everybody.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I think we've got a lot more to talk about, but realistically, I think you've covered so many nice little tidbits, which are really good. But the realistic version is that you guys are looking for people to join in the journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. And absolutely.
And we appreciate very much having us on the show, and thanks for asking those questions.
Hey, we don't get so many viewers, but we get the right kind of people to watch. So it's all right. If you enjoyed this podcast, then thank you very much. Give us a like, share, and leave your comments as well. Like, if you're in your own journey, and if you're in your own journey of discovery of finding something that's worked for you, comment down below what you'd like to be researched. And these guys, I'm pretty sure that you're going to explore it in depth.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Asa. Thank you very much for meeting and for a great discussion.
Awesome. Catch you later.